Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Bitcoin, see what's going on, of course. And I do apologize in advance for not having covered this last couple of days. I've been busy with a lot of other TAs, so sincerely apologize, but Bitcoin's been a good moneymaker for us recently, so we want to make sure we understand where it's going, what's going on, and I'll try to help on, you understand all these lines on the charts, of course. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I just love teaching people how to trade, and I hope that you can learn something here today. My goal is to ensure that you become a better trader, right? So CryptoCache.tech is a website you can do that with. Essentially, I provide you with a trading academy, community, and signal group where you just have access to everything that I have to offer, pretty much in greater detail, all the other stuff that we can't cover in these short videos. So once again, check that out in your own time and link in the description below. So take a look here at Bitcoin. Let's address the obvious and go ahead and jump into those charts here, or the lines, trend lines rather. First things first, we're still above the 50-day simple moving average. So you can see here it tested it twice, right around the price point about 40,500, which was a previous support level. Still a current support level likely, but generally speaking, that was a price point that was, the price came down and bounced twice and has essentially continued from there. So that 50-day SMA is proving to be very beneficial at this point, and it will likely continue to progress upwards. And if and when it's tested again, whenever that might be, we can kind of, we can have a little bit of certainty knowing that it could work as a support level. Okay, no guarantees, but the likelihood is higher, right? It's just like an extra 5% success rate, if you will. So good stuff there in that sense. To touch on these trend lines here, first of all, this is the traditional ascending trend line that we've been having. This has been giving us overall confidence in the market, knowing that, hey, it hit 35,000, lowest point, one-day candlestick close, 37,000, 38,000, and we haven't seen a test since. So that's a great sign. Heaven forbid the price were to come back down and retrace. I would say 39 would probably be the absolute bottom in that sense, just in the overall, progression of this upward trend, okay? Now, that's not guaranteed, but trends are your friends, right? So that being said, you want to make sure to, get alongside them, get cheeky with them, and make sure you understand what they're doing and what they're telling us. So this is basically telling us that we have a nice ascending pattern, and slow and steady wins the race, right? That's kind of what's going on there. Now, obviously, we broke above the moving averages. We're good to go there. This red channel here, essentially a resistance channel. It was originally green, but I changed it to red to help kind of get the point across. It's not necessarily going to be, an evil monster per se, but if you can see here previously, we got this, this support channel essentially, where it's working as a resistance now. Okay, so obviously a support level there at about 46,000. That's the price point that I'm going to feel extremely bullish if we get a good one or two candlestick closes above that. Okay. Until then, we still got to be kind of cautious and play it somewhat tight in a way, which is why you might see me have, my trailing stop losses have moving target 1 instead of 2, to ensure if we have a pullback, which is potential, albeit we've seen less pullbacks lately, we are ready and prepared for that, right? But once we get over 46, we should expect to see a continuation of the upside. I'm expecting a consolidation here soon, essentially just based on the fact we've been momentously moving upwards for a little while now. All right, so that explains this resistance channel. So just know here, 44,500, the price has never been able to close above that 6 times total in the last 2 months. So just keep that in mind. This could be another test of that resistance level here soon. Will it break through? Probably not the first time, but I think the likelihood of it pushing through again is very high. And the main reason why, and I've noticed this in trading, there's a lot of threes that come into place. In other words, we got a 3 of the 3 days that's happened so far. In other words, we've had it tested 3 times. So when you test a resistance level 3 times in a row, the 4th time is oftentimes the break. Now, it's no guarantee, of course, that there's a lot of different things and factors that come into play, but generally speaking, a 4th attempt here at this resistance level could be the successful attempt that we need. Again, we built more volume, we built more stability essentially as a base, and we're looking very good here in that sense for Bitcoin to continue to progress upwards. So again, I think we're in really good shape here to see a continuation. Is it going to break through immediately? Probably not. I would venture to guess we'll see a test or 2, perhaps even a somewhat of an ugly cup and handle, right? It could very well happen that way. But what's nice here, and this is the last trend line I want to touch on. Well, there's 2 of them really quick. This descending type of trend line you can see here, we broke above that. So that's a very good situation here, giving us that momentum to effectively consider this a potential breakout. Okay. Now, it's not an official breakout because we're not above the resistance level, but it's a good start going into that resistance. Furthermore, we have this type of pattern here, or I guess you could more so just say another trend line. And I drew this just before I started this video here. And the reason why is because we can see that the price is progressing upwards. So until it breaks below that trend, we can expect it to continue to honor that and to ascend, right? Obviously, it's going to be a point in which we need to consolidate and retrace. This is the third solid green day in a row since we've had this little retracement here. So we could expect a pullback in the next 24 to 48 hours based on that sentiment alone. Especially going into the weekend, it would make sense to take some profits over the weekend. That's kind of a standard thing. Green weeks provide red weekends. It's just kind of an average norm, if you will, 60-40 potential for that to happen. Again, 59% of all statistics are made up on the spot, right? So you got to remember that. Anyways, so that being said, there's no definitive direction, but we're looking very good. The likelihood of it progressing overall upwards from here is higher than it is to just shoot down. If it were to just say potentially sell off catastrophically or worst case scenario, again 39,000 I feel is a strong support level. It's been a previous support. We've also got 40/40,200. This little baseline here in the middle is also a pretty good little area there that we should expect to see some support. And I'm saying that based on the volume profile, right? We see a strong amount of volume at 39, and then of course there's less at 40, because as you can see, the price just kept shooting up and down between those lines, right? So if it's going to break 40, it's not going to just chill out and hang out there. But that is a potential area. That's kind of where that ascending wedge pattern was forming before, and that could be something to note. All right. So that's kind of where all the trend lines come from. Let's go ahead and look at some of the key indicators and call it a day. RSI up over 50, under 70 is perfect. I'd love to see it. We kind of almost got a bounce. This is why I like 40,000. You can see the price come down to touch, I think it was 40,500, and then it bounced back to the upside there. And if you see here, it was almost 50 on the RSI. So that's the case in point where you can see 50 on the RSI working as a support level instead of a resistance. So we're on the right side of the tracks there now. That gives us more confidence in knowing that the price, albeit maybe won't continue to shoot straight up from here. If it were to come back down, we have that support level now, right? And that is again trending right around 40,500. So good stuff there on the 1 day. Honestly, there's nothing I see that's really adverse except that we are technically. Here's one thing just to touch on, and I got this question as well. TD sequential, when you get a 9, you usually see a pullback, right? So for TD sequential, when you see a 9, it's common for you to have a consolidation or retracement after. You got to keep in mind though, even though we hit a 9 2 days ago, this is a continuation pattern. It's basically a momentum play. But B, we got a lot of consolidation and retracement right here. And even though we didn't get that full on reset, that was 3 out of normally 4 days that you need to get that kind of reset. So we did actually rest and relax enough at this key level resistance, which is why it broke above at 42,300 for long enough to allow it to continue up. So try not to let that 9 trip you up. It's not necessarily a deal breaker. The TD sequential isn't 100% guarantee, but once again, if it comes up to another 9, or just say for example it goes up another 9 days, that's what we really want to expect a pullback. But in that sense, look at this here. This is nice. See, higher lows, higher highs, consistently forming. So I got the question again yesterday too, because we took an Ethereum leverage position. We hit our nice profit target in like under 5 hours. And the beautiful thing about that was that I was just expecting Bitcoin to continue to progress as it has been so far with this ascending pattern. Ethereum is still following suit for Bitcoin mostly, so it gave me a lot of confidence going into that. And this is exactly the same exact qualities that Ethereum had as well. Higher highs, higher lows, continuation, broke a recent trend line, and essentially has continued up ever since. So those are all things we got to kind of acknowledge here. So once again, the likelihood of Bitcoin continuing higher here are still very high. But we do also got to acknowledge that we're coming into a resistance channel. The likelihood of seeing something like this is also quite high. And we've seen some nice healthy staircase patterns here from Bitcoin. So truth be told, we shouldn't expect a massive pullback. Like there's more volume, more consistency here in Bitcoin right now, that it just seems to be overall a much better feel than any time before. I would much rather take this than this any day. It's the reason why we saw this. We're not going to see this likely because of the fact that it's progressed upwards positively. Heaven forbid it trails down slowly. It will consolidate at 39 to 40/40,500 and then project upwards again. In fact, we almost wanted to do that in order to be able to have enough volume to break through this resistance. Once again, I do think we have enough here, being the fourth attempt to kind of push past that resistance level. But between now and then, we got to acknowledge the fact that we keep coming up to roughly 70, very close to 70. Again, previously, I don't really want to consider that because that was an extreme situation. But this is actually a perfect progression when you look at the RSI, when you can see the price essentially coming up here, getting rejected out by 70 on the RSI. I prefer that on the 4-hour time frame. So at this point, based on what we see here so far, we should expect the price to consolidate and do maybe just another sideways, or possibly come down to bounce off that trend line and come upwards. That's likely the next 24 hours. Okay, again, just based on that sentiment alone. So we should expect a slight pullback. We go too far above RSI on 70. It doesn't usually work as a support level. It can oftentimes work as a resistance, and that's what we're seeing now. We also got a MACD convergence course, a little bit of a bounce. That was yesterday at 9 a.m. So that was effectively the time in which we kind of took our position with Ethereum, and it worked out pretty well because it was that nice little bounce off of the RSI. So taking a look at the 1 hour TD sequential, quickly to note, we're at a 4. Nothing to worry about too much there. It's a healthy continuation. In fact, I forgot to look at the 4 hour TD sequential here. There's another reason why we might experience a pullback. We're at an 8. So just keep in mind, pullback is likely here in the next 24 hours or 12 hours to be more precise, based on the fact that we're a bit on the overextended side there with a 4 hour. It's been a strong continuous trend, and it needs to kind of calm down and relax. That does translate here as well, which implies we got about 5 hours potential of upside, and then a rejection either off 40,500 or just back down to bounce off the support level here, approximately 43,000. And I say support level because, again, just generally speaking, you can see the most amount of volume trying to accumulate right at 43,000, not break that plane, and then it just broke here strong. Okay. Therefore, previous resistance becomes a support. Price comes up, breaks through, comes back down. We're likely to see a bounce off 43 if it were to come back and consolidate naturally. Again, natural is a key word here. If there's some crazy fundamental type of scenario that causes Bitcoin to retrace, we have no control over that. But generally speaking, traditional trading implies that we should expect to see the price no lower than 43,000 moving forward based on this continuation, right? Now, it could very well go sideways at 43,000, probably consolidate, which would be perfectly fine. I wouldn't be upset with that. I'd actually like to see 43,000 at this point, because it's been on the overextended side on the short term. Because you think about this, it's up approximately 2% in that was roughly about a 2. Actually, that was more like somewhere in the range of like 2.5, almost 3% in 2 hours, right? That may not seem like a lot, but that's controlling the entire market, and you got to acknowledge that. So generally speaking, it'd be nice to see some consolidation at 44/43. I think we'll see a trend between 43 and 44 in the next 24 hours. Last thing to look at is Ichimoku Cloud. All green lights here. Do not close your position if you have a long position. Looking great in that sense. I would just expect the price to pull back a little bit here soon within the next 5 to 12 hours, 6 to 12 hours, somewhere there. And expect some resistance as well at 44.5. That's going to be a point of contention. We're almost there. We'll see what happens. If it tries to push up and hit that, it's going to get rejected first. But I would say be on the lookout for potential, once again, a deformed cup and handle. There's a great chance we'll see something like this here in the near future. Once we break above 44,500, I think we're going to have a decent amount of play in that volume range, or a decent amount of volume rather in that range, and then once again we'll have a chance to test 46,000. It's only tested it once in the last 2 or 3 months, and I think we're likely to see a break here soon. So all good stuff here from Bitcoin. I mean, if I were to give you a rating, it's 2 thumbs up. I'm not trying to start a trend or anything, because again, the trend is your friend, but regardless of that fact, I would just be cautious and careful. There is likely going to be a pullback soon. I don't think it's going to be catastrophic. I'd say 40,000 be a worst case. 39, actually extreme worst. But more importantly, I think we should expect some support at 43. One last thing here to note as well is 42,000 is also a point to kind of be aware of, because it was a previous support and a recent resistance. So that might also be a secondary support level there. We'll worry about Fibonacci retracement lines later. I think trend line plays right now are more effective when it comes to momentum plays. And at this point, until it breaks its upward trend, which it's already broken, the downward trend effectively, we're going to see continuation here. And I would expect a little bit of consolidation in the next 24 hours, and then the leg up from there. Somewhere in that range we should expect to see. So, all right, hopefully you found benefit here. Of course, if you do, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're not currently a community member, hey, stop missing out, man. We're making tons of cash here with the signals that I'm setting out. It's really cool great opportunity. And again, heaven forbid the price comes down, we'll figure it out. We always work together and get some kind of game plan together. Again, Trading Academy community, amazing group of folks there. Thanks again to my community members for just being such awesome, admirable people. I greatly appreciate you, and I look forward to working with you if you're not currently a member. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next one.